Most men over 50 think their problem starts in the bedroom, but many urologists quietly admit it often starts in the hips, the spine, and the blood vessels years earlier, and that changes everything, because what most men call aging is sometimes just a body that has slowly stopped moving the way it was designed to. Tight muscles begin squeezing nerves, blood flow becomes weaker, stress hormones stay elevated longer, sleep gets lighter, testosterone slowly drops, and one day a man wakes up and notices something deeply personal has changed. Even though no doctor ever warned him this could happen so gradually. What's worse is that millions of men try to fix this by chasing pills before fixing the real mechanical problem underneath. But recent research on circulation, pelvic floor function, and mobility is revealing something surprising. Some of the most powerful changes may begin with movements so simple they look almost meaningless at first glance. Not intense workouts, not dangerous supplements, not complicated routines. Just a few quiet stretches that can affect blood flow, nerve signaling, posture, pelvic tension, stress response, and even confidence. And the strange part, many men already sit in the exact positions every day that slowly make the problem worse without realizing it. Doctors rarely explain this clearly because modern health conversations focus almost entirely on symptoms, not the hidden chain reaction happening inside the body. Imagine your circulation system like a network of soft garden hoses. When the hips tighten, the lower back stiffens, and the pelvis loses mobility, it becomes harder for healthy blood flow to move freely through the areas that matter most. The body starts prioritizing survival over performance. Energy drops first, recovery slows next, then confidence quietly follows. And after age 50, this process accelerates faster than most people understand. Studies on aging show that flexibility and circulation are deeply connected. Researchers have found that stiffness in the lower body often overlaps with poorer vascular health, reduced mobility, increased inflammation, and even higher stress levels. Many men think they are simply getting older, when in reality, their body has been sending warning signs for years. The frightening part is how normal it all feels at first. You feel a little tighter getting out of bed, a little more tired after dinner, a little less motivated, a little more disconnected from your own body, until eventually the issue becomes impossible to ignore. But here's the hopeful truth most men never hear. The body is incredibly responsive when circulation improves and tension is reduced consistently. Even small daily movements can begin changing how the nervous system communicates with muscles and blood vessels. That's why many physical therapists, mobility experts, and urologists are now paying closer attention to simple stretching routines designed specifically for aging men. Not because stretching is magical, but because the human body depends on movement to maintain function. In this video, we'll break down the 5 stretches many experts recommend for men over 50 who want better circulation, stronger pelvic support, healthier mobility, and improved performance naturally. You'll understand what happens inside the body during each movement, why certain stretches work better than others, and the hidden daily habits quietly making things worse. And one of these stretches is so overlooked that many men notice changes in posture, comfort, and blood flow within weeks of doing it consistently. If you stay until the end, you'll also learn why one common sitting habit may be accelerating stiffness and reduced circulation far faster than most men realize. Your body may not be failing you. It may simply be asking you to move differently, and once you understand that, you may never think about aging the same way again. If you've ever noticed changes in energy, recovery, flexibility, sleep, or confidence as you've gotten older, let us know in the comments. Your experience may help someone else realize they're not alone. And if you enjoy evidence-based health videos explained in simple language, like the video, subscribe to The Human Upgrade, and turn on notifications, because in the next video, we're uncovering another hidden health mistake millions of adults make every morning before breakfast, and why doctors say it may quietly affect the brain, metabolism, and aging process for years before symptoms appear. The hidden muscle that quietly controls male performance after 50. Most men think strength disappears with age, but many urologists now believe the real problem is something far quieter. Tension. The hidden muscle most men never think about is the pelvic floor, and when that area becomes weak, tight, or inactive from years of stress and sitting, blood flow and nerve response can slowly change without warning. What makes this dangerous is how invisible it feels in the beginning. The body adapts slowly. Tight hips begin pulling on the pelvis. The lower back stiffens, breathing becomes shallower. Stress hormones stay elevated longer, and over time, the nervous system starts treating the body like it's under pressure instead of relaxed and responsive. That matters more than most men realize. Research published in urology and physical therapy journals has shown that pelvic floor function plays a major role in circulation, bladder control, posture, and erectile health. not because the body is broken, but because muscles and blood vessels work together like a system. Imagine two men in their 50s. One ignores stiffness for years. He sits longer, moves less, sleeps worse. His body becomes tighter every month, but he assumes it's normal aging. The other spends 5 quiet minutes every morning doing a simple butterfly stretch and deep breathing. Slowly, the hips loosen, posture improves, stress lowers, blood flow becomes more efficient. Same age, different direction. And here's the strange part. Many men train harder when their body actually needs softness, mobility, and circulation first. So try this. Sit on the floor. Bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees fall outward naturally. Keep your spine tall. Breathe slowly for 60 seconds without forcing the stretch. This movement gently opens the hips and relaxes the pelvic region. Simple does not mean weak. Sometimes simple is exactly what the body has been missing. The biggest mistake men make is waiting until symptoms become severe before improving mobility and circulation. By then, the body has often been compensating for years. Have you noticed your body feeling tighter, stiffer, or more fatigued after 50 even without major health problems? Because the next stretch looks almost too easy to matter. Yet some experts believe long hours of sitting may quietly be accelerating male aging faster than people think. The chair disease. Stretch that may reverse years of damage. The human body was never designed to fold into a chair for 10 hours a day. But millions of men do exactly that. Then blame aging for what happens next. One of the biggest hidden threats to circulation after 50 is prolonged sitting, especially when the hips stay compressed for years without movement. Most men think exhaustion comes from getting older, but often the body is reacting to restriction. When the hips remain bent all day, the hip flexor muscles slowly tighten and shorten. That tightness pulls the pelvis forward, compresses the lower back, reduces mobility, and can even affect how efficiently blood moves through the lower body. The dangerous part is that this happens quietly. The brain adapts to discomfort little by little. Poor posture starts feeling normal. Tightness becomes invisible. Energy drops so gradually that many men never connect the dots. Studies on mobility and circulation show that long periods of sitting are associated with poor vascular health, stiffness, reduced metabolic function, and increased physical tension. Not because sitting is evil, but because the body depends on movement signals to stay responsive. Picture 2 different evenings. One man finishes dinner and collapses into a recliner for 4 straight hours. His hips stay locked, his spine stiffens, blood flow slows. By bedtime, his body feels heavy and drained. Another man spends just 2 minutes doing a kneeling hip flexor stretch beside the couch, one knee down, chest upright, hips gently forward, slow breathing. Nothing dramatic happens instantly, but the body gets a different message: movement instead of stagnation, circulation instead of compression. And over time, those small signals matter more than most people understand. Pause for a second. Many men spend more time charging their phone than restoring circulation in their own body. So here's a simple starting point. Every hour, stand up for 1 minute, walk briefly, stretch the front of the hips gently. Avoid forcing the movement. The goal is not intensity. The goal is consistency. And before bed, hold a hip flexor stretch for 30 to 60 seconds on each side while breathing slowly. This helps relax tension around the pelvis and lower spine. The mistake most men make is trying to out-exercise 10 hours of sitting with one intense workout. The body responds better to frequent movement than occasional punishment. How many hours a day do you think you spend sitting without realizing it? Because the next stretch targets something even more overlooked: the nerve pathways connecting the spine, pelvis, and lower body that many experts believe men ignore for decades before symptoms finally appear. The nerve stretch doctors say most men completely ignore. Most men blame hormones when something feels off, but sometimes the real issue is pressure, not age. One of the most ignored causes of lower body dysfunction after 50 is chronic tension around the spine and nerves. The body is constantly sending electrical signals between the brain, pelvis, muscles, and blood vessels. But when the lower back becomes stiff from years of stress, poor posture, and lack of movement, those signals can become less efficient. That changes more than people think. Tightness creates hesitation inside the nervous system. The body becomes guarded instead of relaxed. Breathing gets shallow, stress stays elevated longer, muscles stop coordinating properly. Even circulation can become less responsive over time. And the dangerous part is this feels normal to millions of men. They wake up stiff, sit for hours, carry tension through the lower back every day, then assume the body slowing down is unavoidable. Research in mobility and rehabilitation continues showing that spinal movement plays a major role in circulation, flexibility, nerve function, and physical confidence as humans age. That's why many therapists recommend the cat-cow stretch. Slow spinal movement helps reduce stiffness, improve mobility, and relax tension around the pelvis and lower back. Nothing aggressive, just controlled motion and steady breathing. Sometimes the body does not need more force. It needs less resistance. Try this slowly for 1 minute in the morning and before bed. Focus on smooth movement, not speed. Let the spine loosen gradually instead of forcing flexibility. The mistake many men make is stretching too aggressively and turning recovery into another stress signal for the body. Do you notice more stiffness in your lower back now than you did 10 years ago? Because the next stretch exposes a surprising connection between tight hamstrings, poor circulation, and why some men unknowingly age faster from the waist down. The hamstring tightness problem almost nobody connects to circulation. Most men think tight hamstrings are just a flexibility problem. They rarely realize it can also be a circulation warning sign. One of the biggest mistakes humans make is waiting for pain before respecting the body. But the body whispers long before it forces attention. Tight hamstrings often reflect something deeper happening through the hips, lower back, pelvis, and blood vessels. When those muscles stay shortened from sitting, inactivity, and poor movement habits, the lower body slowly becomes less efficient at moving blood and relieving tension, and yet modern culture keeps teaching men to ignore early signs. Humans celebrate grinding through exhaustion, sitting all day, sleeping poorly, moving less every year while calling it normal adulthood. Then they act surprised when energy, mobility, and confidence slowly decline. At some point, people need to wake up and understand this clearly. The body keeps score of daily neglect. Research on aging and mobility consistently shows that reduced flexibility is often linked with poor circulation, stiffness, and lower physical function later in life. Not because aging is the enemy, but because inactivity compounds quietly for decades. You can feel this pattern yourself. The legs feel heavier in the morning. The lower back tightens faster. Simple movements require more effort. Recovery takes longer than it used to. Then one day, the body stops feeling responsive altogether. That's why many mobility experts recommend the standing hamstring stretch. Gentle lengthening behind the legs helps reduce tension through the lower body and encourages healthier movement patterns over time. Slow down for a moment. A flexible body is not about looking athletic. It is often a sign the body still feels safe enough to move freely. Try holding a gentle hamstring stretch for 30 seconds on each side daily. Keep the knees soft. Breathe slowly. Let the tension release gradually instead of forcing it. The biggest mistake people make is stretching aggressively for quick results while ignoring consistency the other 23 hours of the day. Have you noticed your legs or lower back feeling tighter as the years pass because the final stretch reveals something most people never hear from doctors? One simple movement may quietly expose how fast the human body is truly aging. And near the end, you'll learn why some experts believe losing the ability to squat comfortably may predict physical decline earlier than many people realize. The deep squat stretch that exposes how fast the body is aging. One of the clearest signs of aging is not wrinkles. It is losing the ability to comfortably lower your own body to the ground. Most humans slowly stop using full body mobility as they age, then mistake physical decline for something unavoidable. The deep squat hold reveals this faster than almost any movement. When the hips, knees, ankles, and pelvis stop moving together naturally, the body begins compensating everywhere else. Balance changes, posture stiffens, circulation becomes less efficient. Even breathing patterns can become more shallow and restricted over time, and yet most people never notice the decline happening in real time. The body adapts quietly. Humans become less mobile year after year while convincing themselves they are fine because symptoms arrive slowly instead of all at once. But researchers studying aging and movement continue finding strong links between mobility, flexibility, circulation, joint health, and long-term physical independence. That is why many physical therapists encourage controlled squat mobility exercises later in life. Not to look athletic, to stay functional. Picture the difference clearly. One person avoids movement because stiffness feels uncomfortable. Over time, the body becomes even tighter and more protective. Another practices a supported deep squat hold for 30 seconds daily. Slowly, the hips open, the ankles loosen, the lower body regains coordination and confidence. Tiny signals, massive long-term consequences. Take a breath here. The body responds to what humans repeat consistently, not occasionally. Try holding onto a chair or wall for support and lower gently into a comfortable squat position. Keep the chest lifted. Breathe slowly. Never force depth or pain. Consistency matters more than intensity. The biggest mistake humans make is waiting until mobility disappears before valuing movement. What movement feels harder for your body today compared to 10 years ago? Because once people understand how deeply mobility affects circulation, energy, posture, confidence, and aging itself, they stop seeing stretching as optional and start seeing it as survival for the modern body. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear until much later in life. Many humans are not actually aging as fast as they think. They are slowly losing movement, circulation, recovery, and awareness of their own body. And modern life quietly rewards those unhealthy habits every single day. That's the controversial part. The body often reflects repeated behavior more than age itself. The good news is that small daily actions still matter. A few minutes of movement, stretching, breathing, and consistency can change how the body feels over time more than most people realize. If any part of this video connected with your experience, share it in the comments. I genuinely read them, and I'd love to hear what changes you've noticed in your own body over the years. I may even reach out and talk with some of you directly, and if this helped you think differently about aging, subscribe to The Human Upgrade for more evidence-based health insights explained simply and honestly.